What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. And there's some serious charges being brought up against Chris Bosh by a former personal assistant who claims the NBA star ignored her assault at a basketball camp, among other so-called discretions. So read from an article from The Independent. A California woman who worked as a personal assistant to former NBA star Chris Bosh is suing the Basketball Hall of Famer and his wife, claiming the two created a work environment so toxic she now regularly suffers, quote, debilitating panic attacks. Olga Trepacheva, 34, says her interactions with Bosh's wife, Adrian, consisted largely of, quote, yelling, screaming, and offensive language, according to a wide-ranging employment discrimination lawsuit obtained by The Independent. Trepacheva's complaint also accuses Bosh himself of failing to prevent a relative on the 11-time All-Stars payroll from continually propositioning her, telling her, among other things, that he was, quote, horny and, quote, need to get laid, while grinding his crotch up against hers. Worse yet, Kirpichepa, got to use his last name, Kirpicheva, accuses the 41-year-old Bosh of purposely looking the other way after a coach at his Indiana basketball camp allegedly talked his way into her hotel room and assaulted her. Defendant Christopher Bosh and the basketball camp coach who assaulted plaintiff are close friends, according to Kirpicheva's complaint, which does not identify the alleged attacker by name. Things eventually got bad enough that Kirpicheva, who moved to the U.S. from Russia in 2009 to play tennis for Fresno State University, had to quit in an attempt to mitigate the mental, emotional, and physical toll and harm she had suffered. It says the Boshes then locked Kirpicheva out of an apartment they had provided her, ultimately forcing her to get a court order to retrieve her passport, work permit, social security card, and other belongings. Attorney Matthew Hulk, who is representing Kirpicheva, told The Independent that the case is still in its early stages, which limits his ability to discuss it in detail. However, he said, it is clear that, like so many other young women working for powerful people, Olga was placed in an impossible situation. She was expected to work tirelessly without complaint, accept intolerable working conditions in silence, and allow her bosses to control her life. This lawsuit reflects Ms. Kirpicheva's decision to stand for herself and take her life back. Her lawsuit names Chris and Adrian Bosh as defendants, in addition to Bosh Enterprises, their LLC, and up to 50 John Does to be named later. 50. Oh my God. I don't know what happened in that situation, man. But I just find it interesting that someone who claims that they were assaulted by somebody else that's not Bosh, right? Somebody that Bosh's nose, I assume. Instead of seeking justice against that person, you want money as retribution. You want cash. Why not also file charges? I mean, I would think if somebody did something to me criminally wrong, right? If somebody assaulted me physically, I'm then going to go after the person who they know that has money because I could just make up some ridiculous 6 degrees of separation timeline to put them at fault. So Chris Bosh supposed to know every fucking thing. Well, all the stuff that he's got, obviously he has a lot of things going on. If he has an assistant or he hires an assistant to make the burden on him lighter, he has a lot of different obligations. He's not running behind you. You should be more or less running behind him. So he doesn't touch you or do anything inappropriate. It's a coach that he knows. It's all these other people. I think this is a flimsy ass lawsuit. You know, I don't know what anybody else on here going to say. I think this is a flimsy ass lawsuit. Whenever I see one of these lawsuits where it's not the person who it's not the person who's named that did anything wrong, but it's the person who's named that has the money. They have the status. And it just comes across to me like this is a cash grab. Okay. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe some other things going on. Then, you know, when you're talking about his wife being argumentative and yelling and screaming, you know, you kind of playing into the angry black woman trope right there. I'm assuming she's a black woman. I thought I remember Sarah being black. Maybe she's not. But I don't buy this at all, man. I just don't buy it. Like, I don't buy it that some dude just gonna run up to you and grind his crotch into yours and he don't know who the fuck you are. Or you haven't been flirting with him for a while. And what it is you was flirting with the dude and maybe someone saw you do that. So now you got an eyewitness to him doing this. Now you flipping it like he fought. I just don't buy it, man. I don't buy this at all. I'm sick of these lawsuits, man. I'm just sick of them. I'm sorry. I'm to a point now where the boy has cried wolf, or in this situation, the girl has cried wolf so often, I just don't buy it. I have to be proved. I have to see it to believe it at this point. You got to prove it to me that Chris Bosh is liable. Now, that's just me. Whether a jury or a judge, depending on how the situation goes out, chooses to believe it, I don't know. Then I saw she complained about having to work 40-hour work weeks. Grueling 40-hour work weeks. That's standard. That's not grueling. You know how many fucking people in this country are working 60-hour work weeks? You got some people working 80-hour work weeks, 6-7 days a week, just to barely make ends meet. You're not getting any sympathy from me because you work in a standard 40-hour weeks. That's 8 hours a day for 5 days. The fuck is grueling about that? Get the fuck out of my face, Olga. And if I sound biased, I am. I don't give a shit. I don't buy it. I don't believe it. Everybody else on here get to be biased. For once, I'm being biased. I don't believe it. I don't. There's too many of these lawsuits that come out here that just sound weird to me. It's the same spiel, you know. But in this situation, it's the target is not Chris Bosh, it's somebody else. But because they don't have the money, you're just including Chris Bosh in it. Fuck you.